I didn't really even do anything that first wave. Hello everyone, Tebrith here, and welcome to week 21 of my journey to learning TF2. If you're new here, this is a documentation series about my journey to learning this old hero shooter named Team Fortress 2, where, for this past week, I've been playing Engineer on the old Man vs. Machine game mode. After some experimenting, my favorite loadout to bring with me is the Rescue Ranger to heal my buildings from a distance, as well as for the ability to teleport my sentry away from any sentry busters. The Wrangler for that boost to my sentry survivability, as well as being able to fire at an increased rate at the targeted threats. And finally, the default wrench for none of the unlockable gimmicks were really any good in this game mode. Now, I've been having some difficulty coming up with what to say for this, because my overall strategy in Man vs. Machine is let my sentry deny an area, put the dispenser where I believe my team would benefit from it the most, put the teleporters in a safe spot behind the main fight so my team has easy access to both the shop and the fight, and try not to let it die. Typical engineer stuff. As for upgrades, prioritize the dispenser range first, then two-way teleporter. After that, if I'm having a hard time keeping myself alive, give myself resistances. Otherwise, just upgrade my buildings dependent on what seems to be lacking and what's working. And that's basically it. Super short, almost not even worth uploading. However, recently I discovered a series uploaded by Uncle Dane that's called NG Brain, where he basically just talks about his thought process over a series of matches, which is something I really enjoyed, and would have been extremely useful back when I was doing my medic videos. Talking live over my thought process easily would have made them at least 10 times better than what I made. Anyway, to make things easier, I'm going to do exactly that and talk over a few prime examples of how my week went in a few matches. Starting with the first Man vs. Machine match I did this week, which turned out to be Big Rock. Alright, as you can see here in the beginning, I'm using the Wrangler to take control of the bomb, although rather quickly I just let it go on autopilot. Pretty soon I realize how terrible a spot this sentry position actually is as the bomb runs past. Taking my Rescue Ranger out to heal my damaged dispenser, and then giving chase to the bomb, where, after dropping my disposable sentry, what I should have done was attack the taunting scouts instead of just trying to get the gun up as fast as possible, allowing the scout to get even more of a distance before being taken down by my soldier. And then I moved the mini sentry to cover the entrance to prevent stragglers like that from reaching the bomb, completely oblivious to the other scout that ran ahead as I did that. Thankfully, nothing major really came from that. My dispenser goes down, and here you can really see my indecisiveness and noob energy come into play as I struggle deciding where to rebuild my dispenser before ultimately placing it in an unprotected area and dying to some obvious pyros. As I respawn, I'm too distracted with trying to teleport back that I once again am blind to the obvious scout with the bomb getting close to the hatch, and really rewatching this video is extremely embarrassing to me, teaching me that I really need to become a lot more aware of my surroundings when playing as Engineer. Thankfully, my team saved the hatch as I struggled to really do anything. Really looking back, I have no idea what I was thinking at the time. Really getting carried by my team this first wave. Eventually, I finally rub two brain cells together and try to support the defensive line by building a sentry that immediately gets destroyed. But then after respawning, I plunk down a dispenser where the team has easy access to, should they need it. before returning to the shop and coming to the realization that there's no cabinet on this map. Ultimately, an embarrassing start to the week. Now, let's compare that to our round of Coal Town that happened a few days later. By the way, yes, this is the same game from the intro where I did practically nothing. As you can see here, I immediately maxed out dispenser range the first round, and for the second round I prioritized gaining a disposable sentry to add some area denial, as well as some more metal capacity because more metal is always a safe bet, before taking my teleporter to the sniper position. That's a simple drop-off to where my sentry and dispensers are placed, as well as a good spot for my team to just pop in and immediately get right into the action.
I'm ready. Packing up.
I was still a bit indecisive figuring out where I wanted to put my mini sentry for the start of this incoming wave. However, eventually I put it in a spot that'll help cover my fellow engineer's only flank.
Moving out. That was getting heavy.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Get going.
Under attack.
On rear watch at this point, I realized that the direction for the bot's walk path have been swapped, or I just placed it wrong to begin with. But my general strategy that I've developed for this map is to have the dispenser on the side where the robots are not walking, and the sentry on the side that they are. That way they'll need to walk right by my gun, taking all the damage, while simultaneously being distanced enough that the spam shouldn't be affecting my dispenser all that much, allowing my team to still have an extremely easy to get to spot for health and ammo. A fact that my demo has quickly caught on and starting taking advantage of, even if it is on the wrong side, and the reason I'm not using the Wrangler here was because of my fellow engineer on the roof there pretty much taking care of everything, and didn't want to detract from his fun or focus. Eventually though, a giant pyro drops down, and I move my sentry over and wrangle it to start firing at it, putting it down before it gets too far with the bomb. As for the Sentry Buster, I don't really bother with it because I was fairly certain it was going for the other sentry, which it was. And even if it wasn't, I already knew how to sentry save at that point, and it's not like I was getting heavily pressured either. Easy wave done.
Good. I'm giving you a bonus.
Sentry going up.
For the upcoming wave, I noticed that a tank is approaching, so I grab a tick into sentry firing speed to increase my DPS, as well as two-way teleporters. I know it's wave 3, but on normal difficulty Coal Town, it's not that pressing. Remember, good engineers lets everyone know when two-way teleporters are obtained.
Let's go, mates.
Let's go!
Pony up, boys. Y'all ready?
Go, go, go!
You're under attack.
And with the Wrangler out, I'm sure you all can see where this is going. Just unloading everything into the tank to bring it down as quickly as possible. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Really good. Have a bonus.
Up next are a lot of demos and soldiers, so my next priorities are to upgrade my building's health and more metal capacity for repairing purposes. Although at this point I do believe you've all seen enough to get the general sense on how my engineer play has developed over the week, so I'm gonna call it here. So yeah, that's basically it. Playing as engineer in Man vs. Machine is simultaneously the most chill yet stressful role in this game mode yet. Learning all the different positions as well as upgrade paths was a lot of fun. Despite having a similar gameplay loop, it still proves to be a very different feeling than playing engineer in PvP. I'm positive I'm gonna be coming back to engineer again after I'm done playing through the other classes, cause it seems like I've only learned half of what he's capable of. Anyway, with the month for engineer come and gone, I'm gonna continue with the offense into defense into support pattern tradition I've unintentionally developed in this series and have next month be dedicated to sniper. And speaking of tradition, the first week is default, so stock sniper gun, SMG, and kukri. If any of you have any tips for me on how to get good with sniper, I'm all ears, especially in regards to aiming, because if you haven't noticed by now, while I've definitely improved by a large margin since I started this challenge, I'm still not a very good shot. So, improving my aim is most definitely going to be my top priority with this class. Also, for any of you that are confused about the switch up in the content style, please do remember that this series isn't just about me getting better at TF2. It's also me learning how to make internet content. Early on, it wasn't that unusual for me to give a different style of video out every week, such as the achievement hunting style for the pyro contracts or the tier list video for heavies weapons. However, I realize now that I sort of just fell into a rut when it comes to content style, so I apologize if my recent videos were getting a bit samey on your end, since most of what's different about them was editing styles, software experiments, etc. Primarily behind the scenes stuff that didn't really affect the viewing experience. Also, the reason I mentioned this now is because it's the first time in a while I actually switched up the style itself to see how it comes out. And don't want anyone freaking out that I'm copying Uncle Dane or anything like that. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful remainder of your day.